We're back in the vendor hall here, and I am standing here with John from DGS Games, who we had a chat with last year, and he gave us a really nice overview of what their game Freeblades is and what all people can do within the game. But we thought it'd be really nice to take it one step farther and give you a look at going farther into the game, what a faction looks like, what you would do within this. And then one of the really unique components about their game is their integrated dice component, where you kind of level up as you go and you're introducing new levels of dice play. So without that, I'm going to turn it over to John and let him take us through Freeblades.
Hi, I'm John, as she said, from DGS Games. What we're going to show you today is one of our factions. We're going to start with that. We have 8. There were originally 4 in the core rulebook. We did the other 4 after that. And their rules are a free download on the website. So you don't have to have the you don't have to buy anything after the core rulebook in order to play the faction I'm showing today. The faction we're going to show you is the Falcarans, one of our 8 factions. They're characterized basically as professional adventurers. You know, some of the other groups kind of get their act together and go out there to do their adventuring, kind of have to pull their pieces parts together. The Falcarans are basically everybody's got a role. You know, everybody's got their role in the free band, we call it. Okay, so we're going to start with the leader. This is a Falcaran starter box. All the starter boxes are legal 150 gold free bands. So if you buy a starter box, you instantly have exactly what you need to play the 150 level game, and that's the smallest type. So 2 guys could, or 2 players could go and buy 2 boxes and be playing right out of the box. They're basically, they're not all exactly the same, but they're pretty close. A leader, a caster, 2 heroes, and 2 followers. And so the leader model is the Jendal Blade Seeker. Arguably the best swordsman in the game right now. A professional trained swordsman. There's a school of these in our background. The model has special parts of the model. He has a Kolakar, a special kind of 2-handed sword, kind of a unique design, does unique things in the game, and very, very reliably able to go into a combat with 2 or 3 other models and survive. That's kind of his role. Then the other heroes include the caster, who's a fire wizard. He was the first of our energy magic users in the game. Kind of cast your classic fire magic spells, fireballs, walls of fire. Scorch, which heats up somebody in their armor. So good against armor models, but not so good against other models. He has a cape. The model itself has a cape, a staff, the fire staff, and a robed model. The painted version, typically in the background, those models come from a part of Falcar where their school dresses in black and gold, so usually you'll see it a black cape and gold sleeves and pants, and then fire symbology around them, however the model paints that. Then the other hero level adventurers, the Caradel Blade Sister. There's a kind of training you go through in our background called the Blade Sworn. They go to Blade schools, and there's a level different ranks for them. Blade Sisters and Brothers, Bladesman, Blade Seeker is the leader, and it goes all the way up to Blade Master and Blade Lord. So she's just below the level of Blade Seeker, but will become one as she progresses. She's characterized by a long duster, long leather coat. She's got a good suit of armor on. She's armor value 5, which is good in our game, and has a long sword, and is good at blocking attacks also. She get a very high parry value. So she's very effective as a hero fighter and a good mid-range of armor. Not like a knight, but not like somebody just in leather. The last hero is the Knight Defender. Very, very solid model. In fact, the game we were talking about earlier, they're defending the Falcaran ship and doing a very good job of it right now. A shield, a warhammer, a powerful weapon for striking with. Slow because of his high armor of 6, but also has the fortress talent, which is harder for models to gang up on it. So you can put this into a combat with a lot of models and kind of reliably keep it there for a while you go do other things. That's the 4 heroes. So a leader, a caster, and 2 other heroes. The 2 followers are the pikemen, also a very professional soldier. And one of the things about that is these are very expensive models in the game. So other models, other factions will have more models in their free band, but the Falcarans will have very reliable ones, even though they'll have less because they're expensive. The pikeman's pretty expensive as a follower at 15 points, but a weapon that has standoff, so he can take an attack and go first in combat. A shield, which makes for good defense, and a good solid armor value. So on the follower world, a very effective fighter, but also pricey. The last one is the Sailor, one of our favorite models. We want to do a model with a grappling hook. okay? And what we found was, as we looked for prototypes out in the gaming world, a lot of them, the model had their hand up and the grappling hook kind of drooping out of their hand. And that's because it's hard to make. It's just the way it is. We wanted one throwing, and we wanted it in such a way that the modeler could choose different ways to portray it. So the pieces are the hook itself, which is oversized for playability, so it looks like an anchor. It's really a grappling hook. That's okay. You can model it some other ways. A long rope that goes through his hands, a coil at the bottom. So you can do this multiple ways. You could have the rope shorter and have it flying just out of his hand. You could take his cutlass, which is a sheathed cutlass on his belt, and take the scabbard part off with a file and put that in his hand. So in a group of them, you could have different looks. But we're one of the very few, in fact, the only one we know of that makes a grappling hook model that looks like that. So they can look like they're climbing up onto the ship deck or up their castle wall. Okay, so we're pretty proud of him. That was tricky to make, so pretty proud. So that 6 models comes in the Falcaran starter box. As I said, the rules for the game are in the rule book, but the rules for the Falcarans are a free download, a free color PDF on the website. And these are painted versions. Do you want to put the painted versions in the focus? So the Blade Seeker. The colors of the Barony or Jendal are green and white, so he's typically painted green and white. 2 at a time? Okay, sure. Oh, turn him, sure, yeah.
The other way.
The other way?
There you go.
Okay, sorry. Yep. Because they're not shielded and they're as groups, when they go into a group of missile fire, they tend to be a little heavy armor on their left-hand side. It's very common in the Jendal scheme. And that 2-handed sword with a scabbard over his back, okay? Then the Fire Wizard. This was done by a good friend of mine. I am not this quality painter. I'm okay, but I'm not like this. You'll see the design of the robe, kind of a silvery color. He's blended into it, but they're black and gold in that barony inside Falcar, and that's so where the Fire Wizard school is, and so that's typically how they're painted. You can paint them any way you want, of course. That's from the background. And then this particular painter did a very intricate design for the back of the cape. Okay. Now, the Caradel Blade Sisters, the Caradel Barony, their colors are red and white. So the Caradel Blade Sister is often painted with the duster jacket, and it's kind of a red leather, and then the lighter colors on the other part. And of course, some people, she's wearing a metal breastplate, but she will often be painted with that as some kind of hard leather, so it'll be a leather color. We're very actually proud of our female models because they look like adventurers. We don't do kind of the gratuitous version. It's not our thing. The Erdogar, the barbarian faction, would be dressed in less clothing overall, but we still not try to go over the top of that, try to make it make sense. So this is a person, regardless of whether male or female, would go adventuring, would look like this. And that's how we like to do it. Okay. We also try to have several female figures per faction. There's one that's an add-on that's not here, that would be a female model. Next here will be the Knight Defender. Typically done. Knight Defenders are have an earth theme to them. They guard the mountainous palace of the King of Falcar, so they're typically done in a brown theme with the royal shield, which is this color here, the blue with the silver crown. It's typically what's on the shield because they protect the king and queen. They have a big warhammer, and typically done in a brown cloak. Okay, and then the 2 followers. We'll often also see either a blue shield or a blue shield with the crown for the pikemen because of the royal colors, and then silvery armor. And so they look from the front. And then the sailor, okay, this is much more freewheeling. You got your bandana, you got your kind of, those colors of the shirt and vest can be any color you want, on shipboard. So you can do a lot with that color scheme, okay? That's how they're done. And as I said, so they come in a box of these 6 models for $36.99, $37. They're normally $6.49 models, so a pretty good value. And then in the game, the core mechanic for Freeblades is what we call the tiered dice system. That's where, as you get better with your skills, the size die that you roll increases. There's a little bit of a learning curve in your first couple games. Was that a D8 or a D10 I was supposed to roll? But there's a pattern to it. So if you just recognize there's a pattern, very, very quickly you pick it up and you go along. We sell a dice set that goes through D30, but skips over a couple of dice that we didn't have manufactured at the time we made this. So as you play the game, if you play linked games, a league or a campaign, the models skill up. And so you'll have a D10 melee attack rating will become a D12. You'll get better, become a D14. D14s and D16s are in here. We didn't have D18s at the time we made the pack. But Impact Miniatures makes those for us. And he is also working on, we have 18s and 22s now. They're working on a D26 and 28. So we could go every die level all the way through 30 without skipping one. You got to be pretty senior in your campaign to get up to that level. So you would roll typical hero, like the Knight Defender, has a melee attack rating of D10. 3 things about the way the dice work. They explode. We call it spiking, but explodes okay. We roll the highest number, and then you get to keep rolling and adding them together. That can lead to some very epic results. We like that. If you roll a natural 1, even after any rerolls, that's a torch. That's a nickname from a game played long ago, a player character in a role-playing game long ago. You can't modify it. It's an automatic failure. That leads to some very epic things. And it's also, with the players that think about the math, some of the higher dice are very, very reliable, but they always completely fail no matter how many modifiers you have some percent of the time. And as reliable as it seems, D16s still have 1s, 2s, and 3s on them, you know. Sometimes I forget that. And that being able to explode upwards is important because critical successes in the game, critical damage, critical hits, critical spell casts are all 10 over what you need. And so if I have a target number of 5, I can't get to that on a D10 unless I spike up. So it's always very exciting when these start to roll, and when you start to get several in a row, everybody in the game store will come to the Freeblades table. We like that too because it leads to storytelling. And we'll find that players will be playing our game in a room full of other games, and they will get up at the end of their turn and walk over and tell each other their stories, which is, you know, an effect that we're looking for. Okay, so. What else can I tell you?
It's very nice, and it's really interesting. And just like you said with the storytelling, from what we've seen at the convention and on different tables, it's so cool because the game takes you to all these different places. You have land-based things. You now have water-based things. There was the Colosseum gladiator action going on. I mean, so it's really what you choose to make of it and where you want to take your characters to, which makes it just all the more fun.
Yeah. The intent is also that the arena version, the adventure version, the battle version, which we're working on, and the role-playing game are all linked. The mechanic is the same in all of them, and the skill-ups work the same way in all of them. So you can move your role-playing character into the skirmish game, command a company in the battle game, come back in and fight in the arena if you want, in the arena game, and you don't have to do any major changes to what you're doing. You'll be able to move between them. And we've had leagues where sometimes the free bands compete in a scenario from the rule book or from the website. It's an adventure out in the countryside. Sometimes they go into the arena and fight each other. You know, you can mix and match that all you want. Because when you're done, you skill up the same way, you know. So.
Well, if you like adventuring games and you like very pretty models, this is a game you should totally check out. Thank you so much for giving us time, John.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
It's great. Thank you.